Hello and welcome to today's broadcast with a special shout out to two Democratic Party volunteers I met at a celebration yesterday, Jared and Carla. Hi, particularly Carla. Thank you for introducing me to people and for being awesome and gorgeous with beautiful eyes. Long story, but fascinating interacting with other enthusiastic pro-democracy people. This is a channel where we are anti the easily refutable, anti-woke, anti-decency crowd. And it's an important shift away from complacency and towards a greater awareness of the threat posed to civilization, to our communities, to our families, by the downwards trajectory, mirrored today by the downwards trajectory of Tesla stock, because Elon Musk is really taking off his hood and revealing himself through his right-wing pandering posts that vilify public servant Dr. Fauci, vilify science, vilify the practice of people volunteering their pronouns in order to show solidarity with those amongst us who may have felt uncomfortable with our initial gender presentation and may have switched to represent themselves as something more authentic for them. Because hey, isn't it supposed to be a free country? And falsely framing the LGBT community as somehow dangerous to the social fabric or dangerous to children is a classic fascist punch-down strategy of framing the Jews with the blood libel, which was a classic lie that said the people who look different in the community, the people who have different religious practices are actually targeting children, good Christian children, and using their blood to make bread with. I imagine that would also be impractical, let alone any moral considerations to do with murder and kidnapping. But bread, can you make bread from blood, let alone human blood? I imagine no. What a conversation. Hi, Christopher. I was getting into the historical fact of the blood libel being a term used to describe a slur against people from Jewish communities over literal centuries of human interaction. And we might delve into some history because my interest was tickled by someone starting a Twitter thread about one specific case where someone was trying to use slurs against the Jewish community as leverage to pick a fight with a bishop who they wanted to supplant, because that particular bishop was being friendly and inclusive towards Jewish people in his community, and they wanted to set themselves apart, to use anti-Semitism as a point of distinction. Much as Trump uses anti-migrant rhetoric and leans into QAnon conspiracies as a way to try and suggest that he is different and therefore better than the status quo. It's fascinating. People who support dictators often want to preserve part of the status quo that they see as under threat, and at the same time enjoy the thrill of knocking over decency norms. And you can see Elon Musk is trying to replicate Trump's former success on the platform of Twitter. I had heard Trump being described once as someone who would never get kicked off Twitter because Twitter executives understood that he was the engine of economic growth for Twitter, that he was the engine of Twitter, that his controversial tweets drove generation and drove engagement on the platform, and therefore he would never get kicked off no matter what he did. Well, he really tested that hypothesis, didn't he, by using Twitter to tweet out, be there on January the 6th will be wild, election was definitely rigged, i.e. inciting his followers to take part in a violent insurrection effort there was only one plank of his strategy to overthrow the election results, Biden's election win in the presidential election of 2020, and have himself installed as an essential post-democracy dictator in a world where elections mean nothing and Trump's fabricated reality holds true and is adopted by or accepted by enough people and enough institutions to make it have at least a veneer of legitimacy and to follow the fairly standard fascist trajectory of appeal to democratic voters and then destroy the guardrails of democracy and start out with a critical mass of enthusiastic supporters who are willing in their desire for a father figure type politician to abandon civilized norms of not talking smack about minority groups for popularity, not kicking down other people in a repudiation of civilized strategies to keep our worst selves in check, but instead says to voters, come on, embrace your worst selves, denigrate those Jews, take joy in smashing the windows of Jewish businesses, accept increasing government legislation to punish Jewish people purely for being Jewish, and that will somehow make you feel safer and give you an additional privilege that you can enjoy of not being in the out group. You will feel more secure in the in group if we ramp up, if we escalate our mistreatment of the out group, whatever out group we designate as being an enemy of the state today. And there's always shifting enemies of the state under authoritarian rulers because they have to constantly keep people enthused and they have to constantly pit people against each other and they have to use strategies that involve dividing to conquer. So that may ring a bell with anybody who watched what happened while the Trump administration was in office and continues to take an interest in the machinations of the strange bedfellow coalition of Christian nationalists and fascist-style libertarians who abhor government for reasons they can't necessarily articulate, but when they tell it to you simply, it's greed. They'll say taxation is theft. They don't believe they should pay for services or infrastructure in the way that the little people have to. They think they're entitled to special rules and privileges for them. And if they try and tell you, they don't think anybody should pay tax, ask them what institutions they want to keep. Like, do they believe in the military? Do they believe it's necessary to have a system of defense against threats from other nations? They probably believe in that. And who should pay for it? Well, not them. Not them. They're libertarians, so they should get an exemption for being philosopher god kings who've had the wisdom to see that you shouldn't just try and make taxation systems more fair and efficient and effective. You should abolish them for special people. But some other people can pay for the military and for roads somehow, but not them, because they should get to keep 100% of their earnings, because their earnings are all completely commensurate to their effort. They worked hard. They worked so hard. Nobody can say they were given anything. Nobody can say they were given access to schools or that their resumes were considered for the kind of jobs where you get corporate health care included as a benefit, and that corporate health care is a tax deduction, meaning the government is effectively subsidizing the perks of their nice white-collar job. Those are the kind of people likely to be libertarians. Maybe they sense there's some privilege propping them up, but their ego causes them to deny them that reality. And they've been exposed to seductive ideas that tell them they're just as special as mummy told them. They're so special. Everything they have is by the sweat of their brow. Nobody gave them any special treatment. So let's have a look now at the man baby of the current moment, Elon Musk. Because look what he's doing to his own profitable Well, yeah, profitable business. It is. He's a billionaire. On paper, he's still probably the richest man in the world. But is he though? Because I think his Tesla lost about $25 billion in value today as it fell. Let's have a look. Who's Eric Sorensen? He's a congressman-elect from Illinois. Oh, and Illinois' first elected LGBTQ representative. That's awesome. He's got 23,000 followers. He says, my pronouns are he, him. I believe in science, and I support Dr. Fauci. Elon Musk's continued bad actions kept me from buying a Tesla, and now I am ecstatic to have a union of United Automobile, Aerospace, and Agricultural Implement Workers of America, UAW. So that's awesome. He's got a UAW-made Chevrolet Bolt EUV electric vehicle in his driveway. Now, this is a fantastic undermining of Elon Musk. I'm going to make it bigger to show everybody because it includes the elements necessary, not just railing against Musk's behavior, because as Madonna once notably noted, all publicity to a degree is good publicity, but not when people are naming and showcasing your competitors. So Elon Musk has helped motivate this man to show off his new non-Tesla electric vehicle named Chevrolet, highlighted that it's union made. Elon Musk is renowned for treating his workers badly, having a lot of his workers suing him for racist mistreatment, and trying to stay open during COVID when there were regulations and mandates that suggested non-essential workplaces should close in order to prevent the spread of a disease that's not 100% deadly. Sure, it's not a zombie movie. Not everybody who contracts COVID dies, but it's a disease that did kill hundreds of thousands of Americans. It did orphan tens of thousands of American children. And the provision for those children is still relatively negligible. A lot of them go into the foster care system, and it's a hard life. It's a hard life. I've heard from a lot of former foster children on social media who are not shy about the levels of abuse and dysfunction and insecurity and emotional insecurities they experienced that were detrimental to them, that were extremely negative as they grew up as products of that system, that it's not well regulated, it's not well supervised, and that there's a lot of adults out there who will abuse the power that they have over vulnerable children in a variety of ways. So Christopher's enjoying the fact that I called Elon Musk a man baby. Yes, apologies to babies. So I really endorse the methodology of Eric Sorensen here to pose with himself. So it's so authentic. He's personalized it. He's highlighted the competitors to Elon Musk's company, and he's naming them Chevrolet. What a great advertisement. Other popular accounts are pointing out that they will never buy a Tesla. Anyone I know who's thinking about buying a Tesla, I will talk them out of it. And Tesla stock is also getting booed in a stock market sense, because some of you may have seen the footage from last night of David Chappelle inviting Elon Musk to the stage, and Elon Musk getting some cheers, but also a lot of boos, and then taking to Twitter and saying, oh, well, it was about 90% cheers in a very revealing display of man baby style self-delusion. So at this point, a few hours ago, Tesla was down 8.38 points, which is 4.68%, down to $170. I've seen some people say they really think Tesla stock should be worth $40 a share. So it could have a long way to go. A lot of people are probably shorting that stock right now. In fact, let's see if I can get an update. Oh, it's fallen further, 1 67.82. So it's fallen further since that last post. Wow. Fallen 6.27% today. That's just wonderful news. All right. Because they always like to say, go woke, go broke. But fundamentally, what propels a lot of the anti-woke crowd is consciousness of guilt. So with Elon Musk's case, it's quite likely that he's committed securities fraud and will eventually be charged and tried in a court of law. So his best bet, having initially posed as a Democrat voter and profited extensively from billions of dollars of government subsidy when his business was leading the way in popularizing electric vehicles. So he's got lots of money, carbon credits, etc., billions of dollars, made him the wealthiest man in the world. Democratic style policies. And then once he's got that money, he's exhausted his ability to get any more subsidies for electric vehicles from the government. That well of billions of dollars of subsidies for his personal wealth has run dry. He's now cozying up to Republicans, literally advocated for people to vote for Republicans before the midterm elections in November. Said to everyone on his Twitter account, which has millions of followers, said, there's a Democratic president in office, so I recommend for the sake of balance, because this is the aim of all balance advocates, you should vote for Republican. Literally, Elon Musk tweeted that they should vote for Republicans, his followers. Millions of people follow Elon Musk. So very, very blatant efforts to give the balance of power to Republicans in Congress. And presumably, whether it's conscious or subconscious, with the hope of elevating Republicans to power, because they won't care if he's a fraud. They will be less keen to pursue white-collar crime because that's their shtick. They are effectively a lobby group for white-collar criminals who want to stir up conflict, who want to create scapegoats, community scapegoats such as LGBTQ people, rile people up about so-called threats to children from books in the library that may mention being lesbian or gay or trans, and to falsely inflame public sentiment as if children are being sexualized, when children who, as adolescents and even as young children, often go through a lot of questions and curiosities in terms of wanting to see about other people's experiences with their sense of self and their sense of sexual identity and gender identity. So it is a great time for children to read books. A lot of those books are still available on the internet, but as Texas is trying to do right now, they're trying to ban social media use for people under the age of 18. So yeah, if you can't burn the books, then you can try and ban young people from the internet. All right, let's have a look at the next part of what's happening to Tesla today. Oh, Dave Chappelle is trending. Someone wonders when a Tesla shareholder is going to file their first lawsuit about Musk tanking the stock. So that was when the stock was at 170. And as we know, because I looked it up, actually, maybe I'll put it on screen so everybody can see and enjoy this direction of Tesla stock. That today, Tesla stock has fallen 11%. So this is from the NASDAQ. Tesla stock fallen 11 points, but 6.27%. And at close of business was 4 p.m. All right, so that's closed for the day. Is that Eastern Standard Time? Yes. All right, so market's closed. Dun, 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 dun. And it started the day at 175. That's exciting. Started the day at 175, went up to 179 for a second, then the internet got wind of, no, he's doubling down on his prosecute Fauci commentary, and he literally accused Dr. Fauci of killing millions of people, because that's what the anti-woke nihilists are keen to do at the moment, is memory hole. Let me just check who this is. Hello? 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 Okay, maybe a wrong number. All right. Dun, dun, dun. So I enjoyed looking at Tesla falling stock, because I enjoy Elon Musk getting booed. I enjoy decency getting its training wheels off in learning how to speak out. Decent people finding their voice to say boo. Boo to the people who are trying to drag civilization down. Elon Musk was responsible for saying that he thought the pandemic would be all resolved by April 2020. Oh, and look, these are part of the people that he's in a coalition with, the kind of people who abuse their wealth to advance an antisocial agenda of their own. So this is a man who is a whistleblower. He's had a change of heart. He's a minister. His name is Robert Schenck, and he used his connections to influence Supreme Court justices. So we're going to have a listen, because somebody's put some footage together in an ad. It's currently got 3,000 views, but it needs more. Reverend Robert Schenck. Watch what he says, and watch also the pictures of which Supreme Court justices he appeared with.
Reverend Robert Schenck, longtime anti-abortion activist, testifies about a secret campaign to influence the Supreme Court.
I am here to present facts. Operation Higher Court involved my recruitment of wealthy donors as stealth missionaries who befriended justices that shared our conservative social and religious sensibilities to shore up their resolve to render solid, unapologetic opinions, particularly against abortion. The Hobby Lobby leak resulted from one.
So that's a picture of Robert Schenck, and there over to his left is Justice Alito, Samuel Alito. And he set up some donors to have dinner with Alito, and they emailed Robert Schenck afterwards and said, if you want some news, call, no emails. A very damning phrase to indicate they didn't want it to be put on record that they were leaking Supreme Court decisions before they had been made.
Of these arrangements. Justice Thomas.
Oh, there he is, Reverend Robert Schenck and Justice Clarence Thomas. He looks younger there. He was younger there. Listen to his voice shake. Think of the import that he has with his words right now. He is lifting the lid off a can of worms of improper influence, of wealthy people befriending powerful people to massage their egos, to advance an agenda that has not been voted for by a majority of the public, a secret. Well, it's not really secret, but the meetings were secret. It was a secret that there was this illegitimate strategy of influence. It's not coercion. They were influencing these people by getting wealthy donors to wine and dine them, to take them out for fancy meals, to take them out hunting, to have them at their homes.
Commended me, saying something like, keep up what you're doing. It's making a difference. I believe we pushed the boundaries of Christian ethics and compromised the High Court's promise to administer equal justice.
The Supreme Court is compromised, and our rights are at risk. It's time to reform the court. Paid for by Demand Justice.
It's
Reverend Robert Schenck,
such
longtime
a necessary
anti-abortion
ad, because it's not even that our rights are at risk. There are many women bleeding in hospital waiting rooms right now because their rights have been taken away, and various Republican-held state legislatures have taken the opportunity of the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade through instituting the Dobbs decision to say women don't have any constitutionally protected right anymore to healthcare if they have an incomplete miscarriage, if they have anything going on with their reproductive system that's contentious, that could potentially be a viable pregnancy. So all those women now suffering, whose miscarriages are potential crime scenes, whose bodies are potential crime scenes because of the workings of men like now repentant, but Reverend Robert Schenck, who pushed and influenced and machinated to bring people together, to use wealth and the trappings of wealth to massage the egos of the Supreme Court justice and shape them into delivering a minority imposition decision on American women, and more to strip away voting rights, to advance the idea that a white Christian country, a white Christian dominated country is better, that we need that scaffold in order to be moral people, that only white Christian centric rule will help America progress. That is the ultimate philosophy underpinning the people who perhaps told themselves they were just taking care of babies, but what they were taking care of was maintaining white Christian pastors as the arbiters of what is right and good in America, and trying to make themselves drivers of policy. I'm sure they went to bed every night telling themselves they were fighting the good fight, but they were fighting for minority domination of the public against their will. They were fighting to coerce women into having babies that they didn't feel ready or strong enough or economically secure enough to have. They were fighting to force women to bring babies into unwelcoming situations. They were fighting to force women to have to jump through hoops to obtain basic medical care for some of the many conditions that can befall pregnant women, which need doctors who are trained in terminating pregnancies, which need doctors who are unafraid of vague legal consequences, of serious legal consequences with vaguely specified triggers. We need doctors who are prepared at a moment's notice to say this woman needs a termination of her pregnancy now to save her life. She is hemorrhaging, and the only thing that will stop the bleeding is to remove this pregnancy from her body. This baby will not make it, and this woman will not make it, or her uterus will not make it. So she will lose function in her bodily systems if... Anyway, I'm getting passionate about it, but we won't hear the end of the ad again, but I'm celebrating. Please share it if you come across this ad. It is from an account called We Demand Justice. And it's an ad they've made highlighting that the Supreme Court has been compromised in their ability to make good decisions. Specifically, the conservatives on the Supreme Court have been compromised through illegitimate systems of influencing those Supreme Court justices by taking them out to dinner with wealthy people and bolstering their egos and saying you're doing the right thing. All right. It's also news today that former and current members of the Secret Service and of Border Control and Customs and the Coast Guard were all on the right-wing militant group Oath Keepers roster in past years. So a lot of people in patriotic jobs who've fallen for the false patriotism of right-wing militia, the Oath Keepers, many of whose members attacked the government on January the 6th of 2021 in an effort to overturn the federal government and install Donald Trump as an unelected dictator, because they accepted Donald Trump's lies as truth, that he won the election. They accepted his lies without evidence, without any court victories. The courts at least stood firm for America. Even judges that Donald Trump had appointed, even Supreme Court justices that Donald Trump had appointed, understood that it was their moment to step up and protect democracy from the very obvious coup efforts of Donald Trump to stay in power. Donald Trump needs to stay in power to avoid jail. Christopher makes a good point. Nothing wrong with getting passionate about it. It helps emphasize the point. Thank you so much, Christopher. I have to go But let's see if there's any final thing that I can play for everybody. Because I think I did save some more things. There's always so much. The Proud Boys have been denied a motion to dismiss the seditious conspiracy charges against them. Those charges are very important because they all help chip away at the plausible deniability that white supremacists have in America. They keep pretending that they're working for the good of America. They keep pretending that they are the true patriots. There's a lot of people who still buy into that nonsense, and we need a critical mass of decent people to recognize their agenda, and that whatever cover story they put forward, it's lies. What they ultimately are doing is seditious conspiracy, an effort to impose minority rule on Americans, anti-democratic minority rule. They want to install their candidate as president, even though he didn't win the election. They want to say that their assertions and that Trump's assertions should be believed without evidence, should be believed without cause. They say so, we should just accept it. They say Trump won, we should just believe them. They think Trump should be believed. It's our job to just apparently go along with them. That's their agenda. It's not patriotic. It's bullying. It's political bullying at a very broad level, with effects on individuals, with effects on minority groups. But ultimately, everyone is impacted by the erosion of democracy through these very insistent, often violent liars who do things like shoot up power stations in North Carolina, leaving tens of thousands of people without power for days, including infants in neonatal intensive care units, including people dependent on electronic devices for their survival. A lot of people went without traffic lights or heat in their homes, or ability to cook warm food or prepare food that requires heat to sterilize it. A lot of people suffered because of right-wing people who attacked the electricity grid. And I can say that's alleged. It hasn't been proven to have been right-wing people yet, but there's a lot of clues of right-wing people putting their manifestos online that announce their intention of attacking infrastructure in order to assert dominance, in order to assert that they are saving America from the harm that will come to it by being accepting of gay people and being accepting of trans people and being accepting of drag performers as people with a long history of performing gender in an exaggerated way for entertainment purposes. Those are people who are not likely or even necessarily trans people. They are performers, and it doesn't hurt children. Children in England often go to see pantomime shows where a lead female character will be played bombastically and over the top by a man. And it's just part of engaging attention by being a little bit unusual, by violating expectations. Drag violates our expectations of gender by performing it. No, turfy feminists, it's not mocking women. It's mocking the human condition. We perform gender, we stay in our boxes sometimes, and when people use hyperbole and exaggeration, it's entertaining. It entertains children, it entertains adults, and drag queens' story time hours draw a crowd of children, and any parents that are tolerant enough to bring their children to such a performance and embrace the performative, fun, playful nature of well-adjusted humans, as opposed to highly strung, nihilistic, destroy things, judgmental, divisive, anti-woke, anti-decent, modern-day fascists whose meanness is something that more people are figuring out. And I choose the word mean very intentionally because often when former Republicans have actually come around to recognizing the harms perpetrated against the American public by Republican politicians, they often say, they're so mean. The meanness was the last straw. They could see them being mean for clout, mean to scapegoated groups, mean to minorities, mean to gay people who want to be married, who want their marriage to be recognized in more states than just their own, who want human rights and civil rights, who want voting to be easy for American citizens, so that a participatory, healthy democracy, they want that. And the Republicans are mean about it. Republicans make voting more difficult. Republicans create obstacles to voting that lengthen lines and force people to stay for hours waiting to vote, which is a poll tax on the people who don't have that amount of free time to just stand in line for an activity that doesn't help them put food on the table for their families. They are committed to working one or two demanding jobs because America is so organized currently that some of the lower paid professions, some of the lower paid jobs do not pay enough to support an individual, let alone a family. So I saw Senator Ayanna Pressley speak yesterday. I was very inspired by her turn of phrase, her use of repetition, her ability to find catchy phrases that summed up the human condition and summed up her political agenda. So she was saying, do more to do more. Her volunteers know that by doing things, they are more inspired to do more things. So here I am broadcasting today. When I do more as well. And to everyone out there, I encourage you to find something that you can do, because when you do more, you do more. It's a simple phrase. The repetition hammers home the point. Do more to do more. And what else did she say? I think I saved it in my phone, some of the things that I could remember in the moment. Oh, she also thanked her volunteers. She said, I thank you for your sweat equity, meaning the investment that people made with their sweat, their time, their effort in her campaign. When Donald Trump's team asks people to answer a survey, do you think Biden is doing terrible things to America, and do you love Trump? He knows that the sweat equity of even lifting a finger to press yes on a survey question helps reinforce and strengthen their identity as someone who supports Trump, and makes them more susceptible to his next grifting email appeal that says, don't you love Trump? Why aren't you helping him? Why aren't you giving him some more of your money? Why aren't you turning out in the streets to protest the stolen election on his behalf? Why aren't you helping overthrow the government? Where were you on January the 6th? He hasn't sent that email yet, but it's implied when he says, oh, those poor maltreated people in prisons, I would give them a pardon. He didn't give them a pardon when he was in office from the time of January the 6th to the time of January the 21st when he left office, but he hopes that his highly emotional, gullible subset of supporters won't notice that he could have pardoned those who did his bidding on January the 6th, those who took zip ties to the Capitol building in order to take legislators hostage, who would have killed Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. Hell, they would have killed Kevin McCarthy if they got a chance. They would have taken any legislator hostage and killed them if they didn't get a signed piece of paper saying that Trump was now president, and that the Electoral College votes for Joe Biden had been thrown out, and that what Trump was helped Trump do what he needed to do, which was activate a particular provision of the Constitution, which said if the election results are in contention, if there is no clear winner, then you throw the election back to the House of Representatives, and one representative per state can participate in a vote for the president. And at that point, there would have been 26 Republican legislatures, because Republicans had control of 26 different states. So even though numerically speaking, there were more Democrats in the House of Representatives than Republicans at that point, it still would have been a Trump result. there would have been if all the Republicans got on board. That was just what Trump was throwing at the wall and hoping to make stick. A legal strategy to overturn American laws, to overturn the Constitution by creating something to artificially activate a constitutional mandate for contested elections. Let's just find out what that was, so that you can tell people if you need to. Constitution. What I really need to do is write an article about it. I'm writing in constitutional provision for contested presidential elections, House of Representatives. There's not enough people talk about this. And my own pocket constitution is in the other room. Okay. Congress, if there is no clear winner by the Electoral College votes, Congress can decide the issue under the 12th Amendment in a contingent election. Okay, the person having, I'm reading from the 12th Amendment, the person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be the president, if such a number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed. And if no person have such majority, then from the persons having the highest numbers, not exceeding 3, so the 3 top candidates on the list of those voted for as president, the House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president. But in choosing the president, the votes shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having 1 vote. Okay, maybe I'll write to a journalist and ask them to write about this, or maybe I'll do it myself. Why are MAGA Republicans trending? Let's find out. Oh, because Marjorie Taylor Greene literally said, if Steve Bannon and I had orchestrated January the 6th, we would have won. And she is a very powerful player in the Republican Party. She's the head of the MAGA wing. She's even been speculated as a potential running mate for Donald Trump because he's not running with Mike Pence anymore. He tried to incite a crowd to hang Mike Pence. He didn't use the word hang himself, but he spoke at length about Mike Pence betraying those people who were fighting to keep their country. That's the true entitlement of people nowadays. It's not young people in that classic intergenerational conflict of young people are so soft. We work to make a better world for them, and now they've got it, so they haven't experienced as much hardship as we have. So they're soft and entitled, and they just think that they should get the things that we've given them. They think they should just keep getting nice things because we gave them nice things. That's a perennial conflict that plays out of people disdaining the younger generations after working to make a better world, because it's a human drive to try and make the world a better place than you arrived in. Anyway, I've got to go. Ooh. Special Counsel Jack Smith has sent a grand jury subpoena to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. As we know, Brad Raffensperger received a call from Donald Trump that he recorded saying, I just need 11,780 votes, i.e. just give me what I need to overturn a Biden victory. You're a Republican like me. It's going to be very difficult for you. In fact, it's criminal for you not to help me because they're the ones doing the wrong things and voting for Joe Biden. It's all contentious. It's all wrong. Find me what I need to win. All right, everybody. Thank you, Christopher, for saying thank you for another great show and that I'm awesome. I appreciate your presence here and your devoted attention so much. I'm working on it. I often tell people I really need someone to co-present with me. I love banter energy. I love bouncing off someone else. So I still always look out for that person. And I'm going to try and bug Carla to see if she would want to be on a show with me. Probably not. She probably won't. very few people want to do this thing. It's very extroverted. It's making yourself vulnerable to criticism, I guess, and potentially sabotaging, I don't know, things. But I'm always, if you ever meet someone who you think is really extroverted and loves talking about politics and you think would get along with me, I can split a screen. I don't have to have geographic proximity. I can use internet hookup to joint present with someone wherever they are. That's how the internet works, and I'm grateful for it. But thank you to my audience. Thank you to any replay viewers. Take care, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And defend democracy. We're working on that. We're working on our closing phrase. Take care, everybody. Bye.